Now then, it's Burnsy, and welcome to our regular Curiosity podcast, the CuriosityCast. Every episode, we take questions asked by members of the public in Hull and try to get them the best answers from the very best brains in the city of Hull. Not all questions are about Hull. They can be about whatever you want to discover, so do send us questions. This episode, we're talking to a man once described by the Hull Daily Mail as Hull's answer to Ian Rankin. We're talking to crime writer Nick Quantrill. His series of novels featuring his Hull PI, Joe Geraghty, have proven extremely popular. He's about to release a new book which features a podcaster from Hull. Oh, I hope they're not murdering podcasters. He better not be coming on the Curiosity Cast to get ideas. Nick is also one of the brains behind Hull Noir, the monthly crime writing event that happens right here in Hull's Central Library. Nick, nice to see you. Thanks for coming and talking to the Curiosity Cast.
Good to see you too.
We've got lots of questions, but I'm going to ask this one myself. Were you at what point did you decide to become a writer? Were you one of these kids that, Miss or Sir, I want to be a writer?
No, I wasn't. Not at all. I think that's kind of part of my East Hill upbringing, where I was encouraged to do well at school. I was encouraged to do sports at school, but I was never encouraged to do the arts. And it never kind of really... Did the arts exist in Hull in the 1980s? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it wasn't something that was a lifelong burning thing for me to do. It was more... I'd done a degree with the Open University, and that had kind of like kicked some life into me in my late 20s, early 30s. And when I finished it after 6 years, I had all this kind of time on my hands, so I started to write short stories. Because I'd been reading loads of crime novels and just enjoying them, and I thought I want to have a try. Uh-huh. And I wrote a short story, I wrote another, and then I started to write longer ones, and then I wrote a novel, and it got published. So it just kind of crept up on me almost, becoming a writer in that sense.
And what degree did you go to?
This is producer Dave, by the way.
Chipping in.
I did a degree in social policy and criminology.
Oh, so there was an aspect of it in your degree.
What I was doing in my degree was I was kind of reading it in the novels of people like Ian Rankin, but it was a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. So I kind of, it grew from there essentially.
Did you always have a dark mind then?
I don't know. I don't think I did really. No, I'd always been obsessed with, with football and stuff in my 20s, right. And then starting to study just opened up this whole kind of new world to me, really.
You must have done well then to get published fairly early on, because you read about and then you hear from a lot of writers, and it's they slog away for years before they get published.
Yeah, I was in my 30s, which I think is relatively young for a writer.
Right.
It was kind of good luck and planning. I'd kind of written this novel featuring Joe Geraghty, and I was looking for publishers for an agent, and there was a publisher who was specifically looking for northern crime novels because they felt like those kind of voices hadn't been really represented in crime at that point.
And so, let's face it, there is a lot of crime in the north.
There is a lot of crime in the north to write about, so... it was kind of the right place at the right time in that sense. But I was looking specifically for people who would be interested in what I was doing. And I kind of got lucky in that respect.
So Joe Geraghty's your main man. Where did he come from?
It was, I've always kind of thought of Joe as being like kind of me to a degree, which sounds a bit crazy, doesn't it? When you say
I'm not necessarily. You write about yourself.
It was more my kind of instrument to explore the city through. Because when I first kind of created him in these short stories I was writing, Hull had just been crowned the UK Crap Town of the Year.
Yeah.
So we'd kind of gone on this journey.
We're all so proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like a badge of honour on it almost.
It is actually, yeah.
So we went on this journey from Crap Town to City of Culture and beyond. So I had this kind of amazing backdrop that I could explore using Joe Geraghty. So it kind of became my tool for looking at the city, really. But in terms of where it came from, I guess I was trying to sort of take that American hard-boiled PI idea, but put it into a northern city in the sort of 21st century and just see if I could kind of mash those two things together.
And how's he developed through the books as a character?
Yeah, I think you kind of, as you write a series, you kind of deepen them a bit more, so his relationships with people become more embedded. He has a family around him, which I kind of started to explore a bit, particularly in the third book. His brother, who got involved in some smuggling of illegal cigarettes coming to the city who were docked. So, you kind of sort of like thicken the soup almost, I think, as a writer when you're writing a series. But, I kind of got to the point where I'd written the fourth one, and I just thought, I've kind of done enough through his eyes now, really. I want to try something different and something...
So now he's become a female podcaster.
So he's become a female podcaster, yeah. It's the modern world, isn't it? So
I feel threatened now. It's not murder, it's just losing the Curiosity Cast thing.
So I'm coming for you, man, basically.
It's the way of the world.
Yeah. So I just wanted to do something different in that sense. Like Joe was very much rooted in the city. He was born in Hull, he works in Hull, he'll probably die in Hull like I will. But my podcaster, she's probably half my age. She's in her mid-20s. She's looking for a big story. She wants to get out of the city. It's not big enough for her. She's looking for something much more. So it was just an attempt to kind of look at the city through a different pair of eyes and a different perspective, really.
Okay, when's that out?
So it'll be early new year. I think we're probably looking at February with a publisher at the moment. So, yeah, looking forward to getting it out there and seeing what people make of it.
Nick Quantrill's our guest on the Curiosity Cast. That was me just opening up, really. We've got questions. Les in HU4 is sort of Anlaby. Seagulls.
Yeah.
They've discovered a body.
We should explain, we are recording in the Central Library in Hull, and the windows are open because it was a bit warm when we came in, and there's seagulls upstairs.
They've definitely discovered a body.
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
There is some hidden alleyways around the back of this library, isn't there? It could work.
I'm not going to comment on that, I don't think.
The murder of Baker Street Bogs.
Baker Street, the link's there, isn't it? The link is there.
Oh, of course, yeah. Very good.
You're looking for 10% on that
in
the book, aren't you?
Yeah.
Why is this from Les in Anlaby then? Why is crime such a popular genre?
I think we're here in Hull Library, aren't we? Hull Central Library, and they always tell me that crime is their most popular genre by some distance. And I think there's a few factors. I mean, firstly, there's that puzzle element to crime, I think, which has become really kind of prevalent recently with writers like Janice Hallett, where writers are embedding puzzles into the work almost for the reader to solve. And I think, I think readers, kind of enjoy that sense of can I beat the book? Can I get to the end and know who's done it?
What's her name?
Janice Hallett.
Yeah,
right. So look her up.
Makes note.
Sorry, I'm going to sound thick. Do you mean they're hiding real world puzzles or puzzles?
No, fictional puzzles. Yeah, within the novel.
Not like that bloke who did the thing about finding the golden rabbit.
Oh no. So I think that kind of element of trying to solve the puzzle and get to the end before the author does and see if you can kind of get the answer is a big thing about crime. There's an element of, I think, like when we watch horror movies at home with the lights off, we want that kind of...
I don't.
You don't do that, you see? There's an element of maybe wanting a little bit of a thrill, isn't there? But from the safety of our own settees, I think. And I think crime satisfies that too. And the big one for me, really, I think, is that crime, it can teach us something about the world. It can tell us something about it. And like no other genre can, I think. So, for example, I'm a big fan of Abhiya Mukherjee, who's written a series of novels set in 1920s India. So we're kind of just before, sort of like where the Raj is in full force, before partition. And that's something I never learnt a single thing about at school. It never was ever taught, and I don't think it's probably not in the curriculum, is it? But it's a huge thing, and I learnt something about it through his novels. So I think crime novels can take us to different times, different places, and we can just get a little bit more kind of understanding of how the world works.
We'll come to some of the authors you've actually interviewed in the course of the Curiosity Cast. Dave wanted to ask a question, a supplementary.
He's pointing at me.
Well,
not in a menacing fashion.
Very menacing.
I'm practicing being menacing. The crime being the most popular, I just thought it was romance. Was romance not massively popular?
Yeah, I think romance is still massively popular.
Just because that's what you read.
Yeah, I think romance has evolved as well. It's a bit more kind of, it's been updated, it's more modern, it's more kind of contemporary, so it'll sort of incorporate all types of relationships, where in the past it was very much man rescues woman, wasn't it? Where, now in kind of the modern world, the books reflect that, I think, more.
Shall I tell you my favourite facts about romance novels? It's good, this.
Could we deny you?
Dame Barbara Cartland. Dame Barbara Cartland with all her face full of makeup and all that. She invented the mechanism that releases gliders when they're being towed off the ground. Stunned silence.
Well, jaw-dropping.
Yeah, everybody needs kind of like a second line of income, don't they? So
not the ones off the planes, the ones where it goes on a mechanical hoisting. She worked out to detach it so it goes vertically straight up.
Did she work in aviation?
She was an aviatrix around the same time as Amy Johnson and that, yeah. Little known. She was young once. She wasn't always this white-faced old woman being fed chocolates on a settee. She was once vital.
On the blurb for the Curiosity Cast, put educational in surprisingly educational in bold letters.
Right angle facts.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a great fact.
I know that. Yeah. Can we talk about noir?
We can.
Because Paul in Hedden wants to ask this question, and I'm intrigued by this because I'm not sure I understand noir. What distinguishes noir? I like saying it, though. From other crime fiction.
Oh, good question. That is a really good question, because I think all the kind of subgenres of crime are kind of mixing in with each other now. It's like anything in the world, isn't it, where boundaries are getting pushed and reset. So You see elements of noir in different types of things. But I think if you look specifically at what noir is, there's probably two big things. Firstly, there's generally no happy ending in a noir. Where in a crime novel, if it's to say something like an Ian Rankin novel with a Rebus series, there's an expectation that justice will be done, isn't there? And that the policeman will kind of get his man and kind of order will be reinstated in that world. But in a noir novel, there often will not be a happy ending. So something like Get Carter is a good example of a noir. Because, I mean, we're not giving anything away, are we, by saying that it doesn't end well for Jack Carter, that film.
Right.
So that's kind of the big thing, really. And probably the second thing for me is that the character probably won't have a moral centre, where someone like Rebus in the novels will kind of have a code, won't he, where he will cross a line, but he'll do it for the right reasons, where someone like Jack Carter in Get Carter will cross a line because he's kind of hell-bent on getting what he wants.
So either the character or the plot or both can be dark.
Yeah. I mean, darkness is a big element to it, but you see
Hence
that in
noir.
Yeah. I mean, so those kind of elements you see in other crime novels as well, but I think those two things, that sense of an unhappy ending and a character who does not kind of bend to society's expectations and will do what he wants to get what he wants.
And why is that so popular? What does that say about the readers? That they want that kind of...
Well, these people buy my books, I don't want to say. Again, I think it's just exploring the world, isn't it? That it's a different way of looking at the world. I think noir novels will tend to be fairly bleak. They may well have a kind of a different view on the world than maybe we'd maybe want to have.
Right.
They are kind of darker novels by their nature.
I read a Simon Kenrick one the other night. Is he noir then? Because it didn't have a happy ending.
Well,
I rather enjoyed it. I went back to the library and got another one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He writes really fast-paced thrillers, doesn't he? And they're really, really good. But I guess, the darkness of it will be a noir element. But I think by the fact that his novels generally tend to wrap up in a more satisfactory way will suggest he's more of a thriller writer. But I think the genres kind of cross over each other and kind of interlink and mesh up a bit more than they have in the past. So, probably classic noir stuff like Chandler stands alone, and more recently David Peace writing about Yorkshire and the Ripper is a really good example of a noir writer. And the Humber's own Nick Quantrill, I think, writes very kind of traditional noir novels in that sense. But even his most recent one, which is fantastic, there is kind of a resolution to it. So I think writers are taking bits that they want from noir and leaving bits behind and kind of incorporate what they want from it, really.
Just on the subject, you mentioned Nick, who's Nick Triplo, who's a Barton resident. Ted Lewis, who wrote Get Carter. There is a museum in Barton you can go and see and find out more about Get Carter and Ted Lewis and everything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that was one of the big things when we started Hull Noir, was that we wanted to reposition Ted Lewis back where he deserved to be in the genre. He's a really formative, important writer within noir and within crime, and we wanted to try and give him a bit of a platform again, really.
He's like the Velvet Underground of noir.
He is the Velvet Underground of noir.
Very good.
Yeah. The William McAvaney, the Scottish writer, his novels had kind of laid undiscovered for a long period of time until Ian Rankin and Val McDermid kind of dragged him back into the light, and that was really kind of what we wanted to do with Ted Lewis, but with our much smaller profile than those two writers.
Or Big Star, maybe Big Star.
Yeah.
Big Star of Velvet Underground.
Yeah. Big Star. We'll go Big Star.
I think Dave should be, the quotes you get on the back of books. Yeah. Dave should be writing them.
I think
that's good.
Yeah, well, I've got the next one.
You're welcome. That's lovely. That's lovely. This, by the way, is the Curiosity Cast, and I'm Burnsy. Our guest today is Nick Quantrill. Producer Dave is here as well. I'll just remind you at this juncture, you can send us your own question about anything, and we'll try and answer it either in the next podcast or in the content you can find on the Curiosity social feeds. It's not all just podcasts. So message us at www.curiosityhull.co.uk or find Curiosity Hull on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok even, and YouTube.
And now Blue Sky. We've just joined Blue Sky.
Oh, well, we joined Blue Sky.
We have indeed.
Are we doing a bit of Blue Sky thinking?
Yes.
Sorry. I'll get my coat. Taxi for Burns. Joe in Springbank, how long does it take to write one of your books?
Oh, it's like how long is a piece of string, Joe, I think, really. A crime novel tends to be about 90,000 words. And if I had a good day where I wasn't talking to you two guys doing a podcast.
Sorry.
Yeah, apology accepted.
It's costing 3 words.
It's costing 3 words. If I could do 1,500 words in a day, that's probably a good day's work. So what's that? 60 days? If I had 60 clear days with nothing else to do but write, then I could do a novel in 2 months. But I think the reality is that for me and a lot of writers, it tends to be 9 months to 12 months.
Right.
Because other things will
because of
come up.
life.
Because of life, yeah. You know, or you're writing one novel, but you might be editing the one that's about to come out, or you might be doing some promotion. I might be out maybe interviewing a writer somewhere, and I need to read their newest novel or whatever.
And do you write and then rewrite? How often do you go back?
Yeah. I mean, I probably do 3 drafts, I would say, before I let anybody else see it.
Who's the first person you show it to?
It tends to be the publisher.
Right.
I do have other writer friends who will look at it if I want them to. But yeah, I think it's important to have people who will be subjective and opinionated on it. So rather than show it to my wife, who will say, "Oh, yeah, that's brilliant."
Okay. Well done.
Hopefully,
Here's your pat on the head.
Depends if you've done the washing up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
and are they brutal, or are they ever brutal with you, or is it?
Because you kind of you get lost in a novel, I guess, for so long for it, and what you think you're trying to achieve. But maybe when somebody who's not seen it before and has no kind of concept of what you're doing, then looks at it, then those kind of mistakes almost will stand out more. You know, it might be a case of they might say, well, you know, if you bring this incident here a bit forward, then that would give it more impact, or this character should have maybe more page time or less page time. You know, it's things you don't necessarily see with your own eyes because you're so close to it.
And have you got to have the setting right? Has it got to be the windows open and 3 sharpened pencils and a pot of coffee? Or
no, I'm not.
Do you just crack on?
Yeah, I just crack on because in a lot of my time has been done around school runs and things like that. Where now my daughter's a bit older, it's not quite the same. But yeah, all I need is my laptop and somewhere to sit really. And I do like to do it in my own home though. It sounds a bit weird, that doesn't it? Like,
no.
A lot of writers like to go in cafes and things like that, but I just find that sort of environment too distracting. Okay. I mean, I'd listen to what people are talking about and seeing if I could steal anything from my book off them. So no, I like to kind of have my own sort of place, my own chair. I do have a little office at home now, but I can't seem to quite get on with it.
Do you play Wagner or something?
No, I do.
Velvet Underground.
Yeah, Velvet Underground and Big Star, all the kind of underground indie stuff. I do like to have music on while I'm writing, but it tends to be stuff that I've heard a million times before. So I'll probably stick on something like the Beatles or something, so it's not too distracting to me. But I need a little bit of noise in the background, whether it's the radio or whether it's music. I need something. I can't stand silence.
No silence on the Curiosity Cast. Sandra's following the money.
Okay.
It's the right thing to do, really. She's in Hessel, my manor. How can you make a living from writing?
Oh, it's very difficult. I think for the vast majority of certainly of crime writers that I know, most probably have a job around it, or will do something else to make money around writing books by itself. It tends to be the household names that you know will probably be the ones who are making probably 90% of the money effectively because they're selling so many books. Mm-hmm. So a lot of writers will do, they'll offer writing courses, they will do some editing work maybe for publishers. There's lots of different kind of doors that open for you. So I mean, the big one for me really is interviewing work. I enjoy interviewing other authors at festivals and at our own Hull Noir events. I think a lot of publishers are a lot kind of more risk averse at the moment. So if you get a book deal, it tends to be maybe 1 book or a 2 book deal. So I think writers are maybe not quite so willing to give up the day job for that type of thing at the moment. So yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult to make a living from it, and it's very precarious.
One thing that might put you in the cash, sort of following on from Sandra's question, this comes from Neil in Hull City Centre. Have you had any TV companies wanting to film your books?
That can be that's obviously a game changer. If you can get your books onto the screen, then you get the repackaged book with the actor on the front and everything. And it is a life changer. Like we had Anne Cleves in the city not long ago talking about how Vera
in this building,
in this building, talking about how Vera changed her life when the TV producer picked that one up. But obviously, it's even a smaller percentage of people get onto the screen. So for myself, we've had conversations with production companies around the time of City of Culture. The BBC were interested in the Geraghty novels when they were looking for whole things to put on the screen. But I lost out to another little-known PI writer, J.K. Rowling, with her series. So they made the Galbraith ones instead. And since then, just had nibbles of interest from production companies. The people who made the one with David Morrissey, set around the miners stuff, which I can't remember the title of.
I can't remember the title.
Which was really good. It tends to be that production companies will come to you to see if the books are available to take an option on, as they call it, and then they will develop a script and take it.
Do you get a few quid for that?
Yes, if they take an option. You get some money if they take an option on it. Right. But it's never gone that far for myself.
The David Morrissey one is named after the place it's set in.
It is,
in Nottinghamshire, in Derbyshire.
That's the one.
Oh, there's going to be people screaming at us.
No, it was really good as well, wasn't it?
Google.
Yeah, we'll find a way to get the information out.
Or other.
Sherlock? I want to say that was Sherlock.
It was Sherlock.
Was it Sherlock?
Yeah, because Right on the end. Sherwood. There we go.
Of course we are Sherwood.
Phew.
Yeah.
Sherwood. Oh dear.
We're back in Baker Street.
Yeah, very good. Just you touched on for the Hull Noir events, which happen in Hull Library, and people can come along, and you can also watch for free on social media and everything like that. You've interviewed quite a lot of famous authors, including Lee Child, who created Jack Reacher. I like the Jack Reacher books. I hate Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher, but that's a separate issue and a personal sort of thing. What was he like?
Lee Child he's amazing. I think this is one of the things about crime writing is that the people at the top of the tree realise how fortunate they've been to kind of get there, and it's a very kind of friendly genre. So there's no kind of distinction between new writers, old writers, or even with the audience. When you go to Harrogate, where I interviewed him, which is a huge festival, it's kind of like Glastonbury for crime writers.
Right.
We've had an audience of about 1,000 people in for that event. He's at the bar just mingling with people and having a drink. He's brilliant, and that was probably one of the most terrifying things I've done in my life. Going on stage with Lee Child in front of nearly 1,000 people.
Wow.
But he was more scared than I was, because we were on a panel talking about Yorkshire crime writing. So we're in the green room and he's got a cigarette in his fingers, twizzling it around. He wants to go outside and smoke it. And he's like saying, why am I on a panel about Yorkshire writing? Because I write US set thrillers.
Yes.
And we're like, yeah, fair point, Lee, we don't really know. So, I think that, his nerves kind of calmed me.
Is he from Yorkshire?
Coventry, wasn't he?
He was Coventry, but his grandparents are Yorkshire, and he studied at Sheffield University, I think it was.
Right.
So the link was incredibly tenuous. Incredibly tenuous.
Have you got somebody on your list that you want to get to? Obviously, you've got people on your list, but who's the one that you'll get really excited about if you can nail them for Hull Noir?
If we could get him for Hull Noir, I would love to interview Ian Rankin.
Yeah.
He's absolutely my favourite crime writer. We're talking 30 years into his career, probably more. And the Rebus novels, I think we're talking like 25 of them out or something like that. And they don't run out of steam. He's still writing brilliant novels that, when he could put his feet up and retire if he wanted to, I'm sure, but he's still writing brilliant novels.
And he likes his music as well,
loves his music,
he?
Yeah. And he's a really, really, really nice guy. The saying about crime writers, when I was in Edinburgh last year for a few days, we had a drink and a catch-up, and he was just fantastic.
In the Oxford bar?
In the Oxford bar where Rebus drinks, yeah. And at that point, he did promise he would come to Hull, but we couldn't quite make it happen this year. So maybe with his next novel, but yeah, he'd be the one. We'd love to get to Hull Noir.
And how do people find out about the Hull Noir events?
It's always best to go on social media. We're on all the usual platforms, Facebook, X, and we've just started on Blue Sky like you guys as well. So,
right.
Yeah, we're
it's
everywhere.
The way to go.
Yep, so you can find out what's coming up there.
Okay. Just on the subject, you mentioned Lee Child, and he's writing from an American perspective with an American character. Which is better, says Steve in North Ferriby, British or American crime?
Oh, that's like I think you should pick a favourite book, isn't it? Or a favourite child or something like that.
I can tell you. The child, not the book. No, I'm only kidding.
I was reading something the other day where people said that the British was just much better because it was prepared to be more dark, to be more evil, whereas the Americans tended to pull back a little bit. Is that the case?
I don't know. I think what the American writers do really well is they use the scale. They use the kind of the scale of the land. So serial killer novels will kind of happen all around the country, and there'll be a big chase and stuff. The legal courtroom stuff that Michael Connelly does in the Bosch novels, and the Lincoln Lawyer stuff.
Heroes.
Yeah, they're brilliant because you've got that drama, haven't you, in a US courtroom where every 2 minutes someone's jumping up and shouting objection, and there's all sorts of drama kicking off where the British system isn't quite as exciting. So I think certain things lend themselves to American crime writing really well, but I think for me as an Englishman, that sense of kind of lived reality, I think, makes a big difference when you read a Rebus novel or something like that, that you understand the characters, you understand the place. And they don't have guns, do they? So they have to maybe work a little bit harder to catch people and stuff.
That's an interesting point, because I'm listening to what you're saying there, because serial killers, there tends to be more in America. Okay, it's a bigger country, but they also have guns, so they should be darker, shouldn't they?
Yeah, maybe so.
No?
This is going to get very dark. But if in Britain we kill people with knives, that's nastier than killing people with guns. Right. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's more personal, isn't it?
There's a degree thesis in this
there is,
for somebody.
Yeah.
Is it worse to kill somebody with a hammer or a gun?
Yeah.
This isn't easy Sunday morning listening.
No, it's not. It's not really. We can only apologise.
Yeah. So I think the American writers do certain things really well, and certain types of things lend themselves to American crime writing, like the courtroom sort of stuff. But I'll probably read more British crime writing, I suspect, than I do American. Generally speaking,
I think I'm reading both. Really, I hadn't really thought about it. I must say that one of the most exciting social media things I've ever had. Was Titus Welliver, who plays Bosch, responded to one of my tweets.
Did he?
It was almost as exciting as the Rolling Stones responding to one of my tweets. But anyway, enough about me on the Curiosity Cast. This is about Nick Quantrill.
Those Michael Collin novels, I think, are kind of like the same as the Rebus ones, aren't they? Like two sides of the same coin, aren't they, almost? And you can kind of read them in conjunction with each other. One kind of chronicles the UK over the last 30 years and one chronicles America over the same time period.
I'm going to throw in another amazing fact.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned Sheffield earlier, Sheffield University.
Fully Charles.
Which I believe is the last place in the country to have a Pasternoster elevator. Stunned silence again.
I've been in a Pasternoster elevator.
So you know what they are then?
I used to live in Sheffield.
It sounds like an Italian restaurant.
They'd be great in a noir novel. They're the ones that are just like a dumb waiter.
There's no door,
so you just step on. So somebody could get caught in that, couldn't they?
Couldn't they just?
Or pulled into one.
Yeah, that could happen.
No, do you know what? I think it's Huddersfield.
I like Huddersfield. I don't think I have to set a crime novel there at the moment.
Sorry, it's either Sheffield or Huddersfield. I'll have to check my facts.
Google again.
But I've never been on one. What was it like, Dave? Was it terrifying?
No, I'm trying to think where it was. It might have
Sheffield
been
or Huddersfield.
Must have been.
No, not necessarily. I think it was in Birmingham.
Oh dear.
I went on one at either the University of the Poly.
Runs counter to my memory.
Right. Well, I could be wrong. Who knew? Who knew a chat about crime writing and everything like that would end up with Pasternosters? If you weren't a writer, says Martin in Orchard Park, what would you be doing?
I think I would be a writer regardless of what happened because I just love doing it, whether it's published or not in that sense. But, even though I've had a significant birthday this year, I think I still want to be a footballer, preferably, scoring for Hull City and stuff like that.
You might get a game.
Might get a game tonight, might I possibly. But I'm settling for playing for the North Ferriby over 50s team at the moment. So I don't know.
So we've just guessed what your significant birthday was.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Dave, once you're over 50, they're all significant.
They're all to be celebrated.
They're disappearing quick.
Yeah. I guess I would like... I've had the chance to work with the Hull Libraries team more widely as well, working on things like the Big Malarkey Festival. So getting to work on some arts, things like that has been brilliant. So if I could do more of that, if I wasn't able to write, then that would be great as well. And
I think we've got time, maybe, for a very quick question. Who's playing Joe Geraghty if you ever get the film rights or the TV? Have you anybody in mind?
No, really, I don't.
Does he look like either me or Dave?
It's not as good looking.
No, I don't see his face. When I write my characters, I don't see the face, which I don't think is unusual when I speak to other writers. I have a kind of a broad sense of what he is, because he used to be a halfback for Roma, so he's quite a small man.
Yeah.
but
I can never see his face. I'm quite open to, maybe Tom Cruise.
Right.
When he's finished doing the Reacher stuff, we can have him.
Well, he's finished doing that now.
And Tom Cruise has got a rubbish accent.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good
it's off. I've heard it.
Yeah.
Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure. Remind us what the new book is called and when people can get it. And can they pre-order it for Christmas, or have you missed that?
I'm not entirely sure with the publisher yet. They might be able to. Keep an eye on my social media for that one. But,
okay.
It's called Cast No Shadow, and it'll be around early next year. So I will be out and about doing stuff, without doubt.
We've really enjoyed it. Try not and kill any podcasters.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Okay, because it would be most unfortunate for us. This is a public warning. Watch out for Dave. He's got a dark mind.
Yeah.
You could kill one of us and we could still make the podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep you for the lift stuff, I think. Really.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Death by Pasternoster.
Yeah. Coming soon.
Oh, looking at the pair of us, it's death by pasta. Anyway, thank you very much to Nick Quantrill, our guest on the latest episode of Curiosity. Remember, you can ask questions on the Curiosity website, www.curiosityhull.co.uk, or follow and friend us on all the socials, including Blue Sky, where we're Curiosity Hull on all the main feeds. We'll be back very soon with more quality answers to whatever question you'd like to ask.